You're listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
Podcasting around the world.
Reaching out around the world.
Welcome to backpackinglight.co.uk.
Minimum light.
Maximum fun. The UK's first outdoor podcasting show.
Hello everybody, welcome to the European Podcast Award. Our jury has met, and as we all know, the European podcasters are waiting tensely for this one little moment. Who has won the European Podcast Award? Who has won the European Podcast Award? So let me explain what is happening now. In a minute, Nicole will announce all national winners.
Going over to the UK, we are not leaving Spain yet because Best in Professional from UK is called Learn Spanish with Coffee Break Spanish. The Best in the Personality category is Pot of Funk. The non-profit is The Naked Scientist. And in business we have Backpacking Light Audio. Backpacking Light Audio. And I want to add, please go to the website and check out all the different countries and all the different languages. These podcasts are not just there for the competition, but they're also there to be explored and wander around and maybe discover a new favorite podcast. And of course, watch our blog for announcement for the future. So we'll see you.
Hello and welcome back to another podcast at the Outdoors Station, sponsored by backpackinglight.co.uk, the award-winning podcast producers. Last year, as many will remember, we championed a new product which had arrived into the outdoors world, namely the Aquagear Water Filter and Purifier. In 2008, this lightweight, durable, affordable and thoroughly certified purification unit completely changed the water carrying habits for the backpacker, cyclist, traveller and outdoor adventurer. Now, water sourced from virtually anywhere was safe to drink, easy to carry and always at hand. Something we all take for granted perhaps when sitting at home planning our big trip. This same proven filter has now been placed into a new updated bottle, the Travel Tap. And we recently caught up with designer and UK importer Giles Butler to see what other improvements he's made to the 2009 design. It's 12 months since we've seen you. Last time we were drinking muddy river water. The filter's been a great success, I understand.
It has. It's been a phenomenal success, and as you can hear, Bob, I'm still here.
After all the samples and testing and the demonstrations you've been giving.
Many samples. I've just come back from California where we've been drinking horrible water, and as you can see, I'm as fit as a fiddle.
Yes. The worldwide then, the filter's obviously gone around the world now. Has it been received well everywhere?
Yeah, it's supplied around the world, and I think we've done about 2.5 million units so far.
So it's definitely proved itself.
I think it's because it's proven patented technology that uses absolute filtration, which is very special. Lots of secret ingredients in it, which we can't divulge. But it's about actually having a product which stands up test after test after test.
Well, certainly 2008 was the product was known as the Aquagear filter, water purification and filtration, which is obviously something we'll touch on again, just to remind people what actually is involved in making sure the water is safe to drink. It's developed into a new product now called the Travel Tap. So just tell me first of all about the subtle changes between the two products, so that people who are aware of the Aquagear filter can start to visualise more the new product, the Travel Tap.
Okay. The filter itself, or the Travel Tap system, the filter remains exactly the same, but with a few bolt-ons. So we've actually improved. What we've done is we've made the system, or we've turned the system into a top-loading bottle. You can drink from it instantly. It's got a dust cap on the top, and it purifies and absolute filters water immediately.
So it looks sort of first glance like a normal sports bottle. It looks like it's slightly larger than the Aquagear.
It's very marginally larger. It carries around about 650 mils of water, which is actually just a perfect amount. On all of the feedback that people have been sending us, they've been saying, if we could just have it a little bit bigger, that would be brilliant. So we've actually designed a bottle to fit their needs.
As you say, a removable top, and you just scoop the water up, presumably, just put the water straight in there and screw it on. And of course, it's the same instant filtration.
It is indeed. There's subtle differences here. We unscrew the top, we put the water in, and you'll notice that the main difference is that we have now a filter purification cartridge. This is really important. We decided to go down the lines of having something whereby you have a flushable sediment filter, which also has some inbuilt purification in it, which pre-purifies the water. And then within this housing, this cartridge housing, we have the main MOD spec tested filter, which is doing exactly the same as the last system did, but with the bolt-on, we've made it even better.
Unlike the Aquagear filter, the cartridge is actually removable on this. Now, what brought that design change around?
I think the thing is, we're always looking, we're travellers ourselves, and we look at, well, how are we actually going to use this system overseas? Are we going to be drinking water out of it all the time? Well, predominantly, yes, that's what its intended purpose is for. But as you can see here, I can unscrew this wonderful cartridge, and the filter is completely enclosed within it. I can put back the top here, and I can put any potable, safety assured liquid through this and treat it like a normal sports bottle. And the great thing with the filter cartridge, I can pop this in my pocket, and it's nice and robust, and it's housed within this hard casing.
Okay. It's not very heavy though, isn't it, in the casing itself? It's very light.
It's incredibly light. I reckon around about sort of 35 grams, 40 grams at the absolute maximum for the complete unit.
So, obviously, if people have been putting another liquid that isn't water through that, be it squash or something like this, I presume you don't want them putting the cartridge back in and then using it straight away. You need to have it flushed through a few times just to get rid of the sugary substances.
You have to simply flush the bottle out. That's all you need to do.
Just like the last product, I can see that there's many applications for this particular product, whether you're travelling or backpacking. But what I'd like you to do, perhaps, is just sort of paint a picture for us how the average user might use a product like this and feel safe with what they're drinking.
Well, the thing is, Bob, that this bottle is usable all around the world from any fresh water source. If you were backpacking around the world, then it is ideal for using from a hotel, from a guest house, from a stream, from a river, anywhere where there's fresh water. This will provide you with safe, clean-tasting water.
Certainly, here in Worcestershire, we were hit very heavily with the floods last year, as everybody's fully aware. And it was quite interesting, the number of people that I know that were saying, look, we were surrounded by water, but actually we didn't have anything to drink. Obviously, the river water that came up then started mixing with the sewage, and all sorts of things happened. Then you had the amount of water runoff from the fields and the lowland areas as well. And people were actually, at one stage, starting to get really concerned about getting drinkable water. I presume this would have been ideal in that sort of situation.
Absolutely ideal. This particular bottle system, the travel tap, will take out all of the known diseases that might be in that kind of water, as well as any chemicals as well.
So it's ideal for people in lowland areas, sort of agricultural runoff, as they get further into the mountains, certainly from a backpacking point of view?
Yes, and it's been tested for this as well.
That's what I want to come on to now, is the actual tests and the proven part of it, because certification is incredibly important, and something like this, well, let's face it, it can ruin your holiday. It can also damage your life in some respects as well. You've had this tested to the nth degree, haven't you?
We have. It's been tested to the nth degree by the Environment Agency, which is the controlling, or the National Laboratory Service, which is the body that actually monitors water quality testing in this country. And they actually monitor the testing quality of all of the water companies within this country. And they have the facilities to actually do all these tests, whether it be chemical tests, microbiological tests, or other tests.
And so what do these tests actually conclude?
Well, we ran probably some of the most thorough tests on a portable bottle system anywhere in the world. And we decided that we ought to throw in a whole load of microbiological disease causatives. And that includes bacteria, E. coli, and we put some viruses in as well, and we even tested for removal of an anthrax, which was a non-invasive surrogate. And the test results, without any added purification, in other words, just passing these causatives through the system instantly, were removed.
Okay, so just for clarification, can you just go through the list of all the ones that people might be aware of, as it were, and they're conserved out as Giardia and so on?
Okay, most of the nasties that are found in water exist as bacteria, otherwise known as pathogens, and those are the nasty ones. And then we've got protozoa, and those are things like Cryptosporidium oocysts, which are hard-shelled, Giardia. And then we've got viruses, which are tiny, and they exist on a pathogen. And then we've got even the nasties, the very, very nastiest of all, which would be the very rare anthrax. And we tested for instant removal of all of those pathogens. And
it was tested, what, to 1,600 litres, wasn't it, or more?
We've tested around the world for contaminant removal up to 1,600 litres. Even at that particular stoppage point, if you like, we still found fantastic reduction rates.
And what about things like, again, I keep saying it, coming back to the lowland areas, but sort of, chemical runoffs and so on that you get from agricultural areas? Does it remove all the other nasties there?
It'll remove and reduce the nasties. The important thing is that any kind of filter has got to be 100% better than nothing. And what we found out is that on successive testing, we were able to demonstrate that the system consistently removes and reduces chemical compounds in water. Those might be fertilizers, pesticides, chlorines, anything like that. This will significantly remove and take them out.
Now, on top of the actual water purification, there's also the taking away the taste and the taint, isn't there? Which is actually something that's quite important. A lot of people don't realise that perhaps if they use tablet-based systems, there is a certain taste associated with that, which is not particularly pleasant. Absolutely. We tested specifically for removal of chlorine because a lot of people use it to treat water that they're not quite sure of. However, what your listeners should be aware of is that in all of the microbiological tests that we did, we just put these live microbiologicals straight through our system with fantastic results because we have inbuilt purification within the travel tap bottle. Not content with that, I think it's all very well that you can produce the best purification and kill rates or whatever it is for taking the bugs out of the water, but how do you know that the quality and the taste of the water you're going to drink is actually going to be potable and palatable? Well, we actually did a further set of tests, which was running pure water through our purification system, and we got below detectable limit for any purification which we use, and it's quite a unique purification in our device. Well, I think the facts of the matter there. All the paperwork's obviously supporting the product and can be found on your website, I know, too, if anybody's got any technical questions or scientific, biological questions they want to ask you. I notice this year that it's got a very natty case that comes with it. It has indeed, Bob. Again, due to a lot of feedback and the way that people might be using these, we decided to actually make a case for this particular travel tap bottle. And the case we've made, we thought, well, what are you going to be needing if you're out in the Namibian desert or something like that, or in a jungle? Well, let's try and protect the case, protect the bottle, and we'll also make it insulating as well. So will keep your drink cool, basically. And if you're in a snowy condition, Arctic condition or whatever, then of course this is also going to give some kind of insulating properties to the bottle. Certainly with any purification and filtration system, there's always the concern from users about what happens if the bottle should get frozen, if it's left outside the tent, shall we say, by accident, and also for cleaning and maintenance. What should people do? How would you advise people to approach that? Okay, from the cleaning and maintenance point of view, the bottle itself is made of polythene, LDPE4 they call it, which is non-leaching, by the way, and that's really important because with all the chemicals in the water, we didn't want to actually add to the system. It's also fully recyclable too. Just literally put a detergent in that and occasionally just sort of clean it out. That's all you need to do. So far as the filter goes, it's got a unique
pre-sediment filter, which he unscrews from the cartridge, and you can just flush that in water.
So that's presumably for getting the large bits of crud,
That's
yeah?
getting the large bits of crud. I mean, wherever possible, try and avoid those. But there is that element inbuilt into this system, and it just simply, as you can see, it just sort of screws onto the main cartridge, and you can just dip that into the water, flush it, and then put it back onto the cap here.
And what about the main cartridge itself then? Is that ever liable to get sort of gunked up, as it were, in there?
The good and the bad news about this is with any filter, yes, the flow rate will diminish over time. But the great news with these particular patented filters is because the filtration is absolute, what actually happens is the filter will always protect you against bacteria drawn into your system.
So what you're saying is basically the filter always works 100%. It makes sense not to put turbid water through it because it obviously will slowly block the filter over a period of time, but the filter will work right up to the point that it doesn't work, as it were.
Yeah, the filter has got this system we call auto shutdown in it, and what actually happens is it protects you for the life of the filter. That's really, really important. For the life of the filter, this filter will not allow the bacteria to get through and cause a problem. And what happens is the flow rate just simply diminishes, and then it just auto shuts down, so it will always protect you.
For people that have been using the product either on holiday, perhaps just once a year, or have been out backpacking, and there's long periods of time between their using this particular product, how should they store it?
Quite simply, all they should do is just flush the bottle out and unscrew the cap and let the filter just air dry naturally. It's as simple as that. The good news is that the filter has got an added antimicrobial media within it, which will keep your filter nice and clean.
And the other question was, what should happen? What should people consider doing if it gets into extremes of temperature? If the water in the bottle freezes for some reason, or it's obviously in very, very hot temperature, is that something they should do there as regards maintaining the filter?
I think the important thing is to try and protect it. Obviously, the moment you get ice over the filter, then what's going to happen is it won't go through the thin micros or the tiny micro pores. So the best thing to do is to put it in. You keep it in the insulated carrier, and the same with the hot water syndrome. The filter will still work in hot, but don't go and use hot water within it. It's really not suitable for that.
I understand it's not just individuals that are using these products, but also larger organisations as well.
Absolutely. Especially, we've just had an order from the Red Cross to supply people in the Sudan with a disaster relief water bag. And actually, this water bag system uses exactly the same filter that is in the travel tap that was tested by the Environment Agency.
So, to just conclude again, let's just it removes all the bugs and it'll keep you going for a while.
I think the important thing, it'll remove all the bugs and it'll keep you going for up to 1,600 litres. Look after the system, it will guarantee to look after you.
And being looked after when it comes to having water at hand to drink is very reassuring, as obviously it's very easy to get a stomach bug from an unknown supply. Jane Smith has recently returned from an educational support trip in rural Gambia, and she describes the conditions she used her filter in and the difference it made to her trip.
The majority of the time I was staying at Janjanbureh, which is a pretty unique situation. It's an island in the middle of the River Gambia. It sounds quite exotic, but it's not. It's a declining colonial town, mainly concrete hut, corrugated roofed buildings. But I would go across to the school on the south bank, which was served by several fuller mud hut villages, so quite a contrast there. We have a nursery which is about 45 minutes donkey ride right in the bush of 9 compounds in a very rural, fuller village. And way from any civilization.
What about the facilities we take for granted here, sort of, as in electricity and water and so on? Are they easy to come by?
Janjanbureh, when I first went in 2005, had electricity provided by a huge, very noisy generator. I think the following year, that was not working, if I remember rightly. But then the president was due for standing again and re-election, and electricity was provided prior to his election. And that is a vast improvement. So electricity is now available on the island, but it runs from 9 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock, sometimes 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it comes on again at 6 o'clock in the evening and runs until 1 a.m. in the morning, hopefully.
And what about the water then? So where did the water come from?
Unlike most African countries, there is not a lack of water because once you get away from the coast, nowhere is further than 10 miles from the River Gambia. The water table is good and provision of water is not a problem. But it is treated. It's treated in around the coast, and certainly at Janjanbureh it's treated. Once you get away, and in such a place as Korup, I'm not quite sure about the quality of the water. But most visitors will buy bottled water.
So you were using the filter, but presumably was this water from wells then, or where's this water that's treated or not treated coming from?
You've got different supplies. It's piped in some way. I don't pretend to understand all of it, but I know that within a compound, if you're lucky, you've got a tap within a compound. Other people will get their water from a tap in the street. At our school at Baraba, we have now a pump. That was a well when we first arrived, but then one of the World Health Organisations provided a pump, and it is pumped up from, presumably piped. I haven't investigated the pipes underneath, but there is plentiful supply of water. But again, in the villages, there will be wells, and that I would question about just how clean it is.
Well, you took the filter with you for several weeks, and you're obviously safe and well and full of health as now you come back. So what was sort of routine for using it? Did you sort of fill it up during the day, or did you sort of keep drinking regularly from any water source?
I would always fill it up. It was one of the most useful things about it was that I could fill it up and not have to take a 2-litre heavy bottle with me, because I always knew that I could replenish, and it was perfectly safe to replenish from the taps in the compound or the taps in the street, and I wasn't carrying the great weight that everybody else was carrying. So that was one of its main life-saving graces to it, in that it saved me carrying great weights of water. It also meant that I wasn't getting warmer and warmer water, because the bottle would start off reasonably cool in the morning, people who are carrying their water, but by the afternoon, as we're in 102, 103 degrees heat, you're having lukewarm water, whereas on the whole my water was much cooler. I mean, I definitely take it with me every time. The weight issue was a very big one, because I seemed to be carrying all sorts of things, and you wanted to lessen the weight as much as possible. And yes, I would certainly take one with me. It was very comforting to know that even if I was using the filtered and supposedly safe water to drink, you're never absolutely certain. So it was very comforting to have it there. And I have had no ill effects, and I haven't had to be part and parcel of the discussion about one's bowels, and which is everybody's discussion all the time. I haven't been bothered by it, and I'm sure that's very much due to the water.
Certainly in the UK, we've seen more than our fair share of water these last few years, and I certainly wouldn't feel like drinking much of it. However, with the new lightweight travel tap at hand, it gives me the reassurance that clean, drinkable water will always be available. And of course, the travel tap can be found on the website at backpackinglight.co.uk.
This sponsored programme is produced and hosted by theoutdoorstation.co.uk.